How's it going, people? And welcome back to another live. It's myself here, Mr. Gooner. How's it going? Hope you guys are keeping well. I know it's been a couple of days. It's been a few days. So basically, purpose of this live is just to go over the last few couple of signings that Arsenal have announced this week, starting with ZUBI and obviously Christian Olga got announced earlier today, and obviously prior to that, I've covered it already. Kepa. So we've now got three new signings in, and we're just going to basically talk about how we're all feeling in regards to these signings. How's it going? And also, what's next? What is the next move for Arsenal? Because basically, we've got all the, let's say, maybe some of the backups out of the way, the goalkeeper, the Jorginho backup, and obviously the Partey replacement. But there's some key areas that Arsenal obviously need to cover now. So, which is the striking position, an attacking left wing player, and possibly another midfielder, an attacking midfielder in Eberechi Eze, but we'll get into that shortly. But yeah, if you're new around here, you know what to do. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It goes a long way in helping me out, and it's free, guys. Totally free. Cost you absolutely nothing. And I would actually appreciate it if you would do me that favor. But listen, as I said, if you're new around here, I am Mr. Gooner. I tend to come quite I come on live quite often, but obviously this week has been quite busy with work and everything else. But listen, we've got a lot to cover, so I'm not going to try and take too much of your time. But anyways, let me know if you're live, if you're watching. Yeah, shout out in the comments, and I will try to shout you out and put your comments online in the screen, and obviously we can have a conversation in regards to that as well. But yeah, no better way of starting this show by obviously starting with the announcement I made. I mean, we kind of expected it coming in. To be fair, it was something that we've been expecting since, I would say, since January, when Sammy Mockbell basically announced it in January. It broke the news. He was the first journalist to actually done so and shocked the footballing world, especially in the January transfer window. And everybody thought this was a smoke screen for Arsenal in regards to signing a striker at the time. But listen, 6, 7 months down the line, and it has come into fruition, and that is the signing of Martin ZUBI. He obviously signed from um, Real Sociedad in Spain, and obviously Arsenal basically announced it on Sunday. He's going to be wearing the number 36 shirt. He's one of those players that has been long admired by Mikel Arteta. Obviously, he's sort of, I said sort of, is also from around his area. He was raised up there. This is his first transfer ever. Because what interested me was when I was watching the video that Arsenal released like a day with Zubimendi, when he was sort of going along. When he arrived on the plane, he got met at the plane by Andrea Berta, and obviously presented with the Arsenal shirt with the number 36 Zubimendi on the back. And he had to go for his medical, so they took us through his medical, and the doctor was like, "Have you ever had a medical before?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Wait, has he never not had a medical?" So this is new to me. So I would have thought like a player. I mean, you would have thought they go through medicals, didn't they? I know he's never actually moved clubs, but you would have thought they would have moved. They would have had a medical or some sort of something along the lines. But I guess this is his first medical, because he's never actually left Real Sociedad or Spain before. He obviously grew up in the academy and everything else. And obviously, there's comparing numbers in regards to some of the famous most involved passing player sequences in La Liga in 2024/2025. And he's third on the list behind Valverde and Pedri of Barcelona. So he actually comes in with good numbers. And I think he's one of those players where when Arsenal actually signed him, I'm not going to lie, it was a bit of an underwhelming signing. Only not okay. Let me rephrase that. It was quite underwhelming when Arsenal actually announced this player, um, because we've all known that he was coming to Arsenal, and I just felt like he deserved a better attention and a better excitement within the fan base. But I think with a lot of speculations that's been going on, especially this summer transfer window surrounding Arsenal in particular, a lot of us Arsenal fans, also with myself, have been really underwhelmed with the lack of business when it comes to Arsenal, because a lot of us have been expecting maybe we would have gotten a striker over the line by now. We would have gotten an attacking left winger over the line by now, which would have made us very excited because we've got Kepa over the line, good backup goalkeeper. We've got Norgard now over the line. I'll get onto that in a minute. And we've got ZUBI. So we're kind of covered in the midfield, you're saying, in the goalkeeping positions. However, now we need to get that striker over the line. We need to obviously, what is going on with Arsenal at the moment, you'd ask, because there's still a lot and a lot of speculations when it comes to Arsenal. There's been so much going on when it comes to Arsenal at the moment, and it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag because ultimately, I'll show you guys. Ultimately, when it comes to Arsenal at the moment, we're all still waiting for a striker to come in, but I digress. The point is, Zubimendi has now come in, and I'm very excited with it. And I think, as I said, he hasn't actually received a lot of the attention that he actually deserves, in my opinion, because I believe after Florian Wirtz that signed for Liverpool, this has probably been the second most high-profile signing in the Premier League this season. And I know there's been a couple of signings. There's a lot of deals going on at the moment in regards to, especially in the Premier League. You've got obviously reports Tottenham signing Mohamed Kudus, and I'll get onto that because we've got some comparisons to make in regards to that. And also earlier today, that's Spurs have also triggered Morgan Gibbs White's release clause from Nottingham Forest. So there is a lot going on, as we suspected, because there's a lot going on, and there's a lot because now that pre-season have actually started for a lot of Premier League football club. For example, Arsenal started their pre-season, I believe it was earlier this week. We had a few pictures and videos from yesterday, and then also they've traveled to Spain, where they're going to continue their pre-season preparations before they then travel for their Singapore tour. So yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment when it comes to Arsenal. And it's one of those things where are we going? What is happening? What is the next step when it comes to Arsenal? And at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any positivity in the front line, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So the second signing, as I said, obviously that basically we kind of expected for Arsenal. There was a picture that was leaked, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, that Christian Norgard was spotted at the Arsenal Showbar Reality Training Center. So I just felt like Arsenal probably felt somewhat compelled to actually announce this signing probably a lot earlier than they anticipated, and obviously dominated the whole of Arsenal's website today. Obviously, as you can see there, Christian Norgard alongside Mikel Arteta and also Andrea Berta. And this is the first time we've seen Mikel Arteta taking a picture with one of our new signings, because as you guys know, obviously Zubimendi was done whilst everybody was on holiday, so Berta obviously had to fill in, and also Kepa was also done during the holidays. As you can see there, he's also going to be wearing the number 16 shirt. Arteta met him today, and my assumption is he's going to be obviously traveling with the first team to Spain if he hasn't already. So yeah, it's a great signing, £10 million from Brentford, and apparently it's a 2-year deal with an option for a third. And this is something I've actually sort of covered on my TikTok page. If you haven't already, go and check me out on there. And I basically said, because when when this rumor was actually put out there initially, I was a bit underwhelmed, and I think there was a lot of us in the fan base that was a bit more than a bit underwhelmed in regards to this signing, and a lot of us was like, oh, this is not what we expected, because at the time, a lot of people were still thinking that we were still going to extend Thomas Partey, and obviously subsequently we further learnt what had happened in regards to Thomas Partey, hence the reason why Arsenal obviously gone for Christian Norgard. It all obviously actually made sense. However, coming back to Christian Norgard, obviously 30, I think he's a 31-year-old man, player from Brentford. He was actually their captain, very, very good player. I mean, there's been I've kind of watched a lot of compilations of video of Norgard and all that kind of stuff. He's basically said it was a dream move come true. And let's be honest, a lot of players do say that when they come to us, and I'm sure a lot of players do say the same when they go to another club, especially big clubs in the top six. He's going to be wearing the number 16 shirt, as I said earlier. And yeah, it's going to be a valuable addition to the squad. And I kind of, mark my words on it, I kind of envision, because when the Premier League season starts, obviously our first game is Manchester United. I can envision Zubimendi will probably start, but because of the pace of the Premier League and the how can I put it? The pace of the Premier League, the intensity of the Premier League, I can envision that Zubimendi probably would not last the whole of the 90 minutes, in my opinion. And I can see it becoming a case where Christian Norgard will potentially come in and play some part, if not like 10 to 15 minutes of that game when we play Manchester United at Old Trafford for the first game week. And I can envision that happening. And because we all know Norgard has Premier League experience, is Premier League proven. He's got good numbers. He played well for Brentford for the past however many seasons. So it's fair to say that yeah, he'll definitely feature this season. I don't think he's gonna be a tap of a because everyone keeps saying he's a Jorginho replacement. Fine, call it what you will. I just feel like because let's be honest, Jorginho hardly featured last season. He was quite injured a lot, even the season before. We often was over reliant on Thomas Partey, but I just feel like with Christian Norgard, it's going to be quite different, and I just feel like he's going to play a lot more minutes than we actually envisioned. There's going to be a lot of rotation in that midfield with Declan Rice, with Zubimendi, with let's just say the likes of Odegaard and Wanyeri, and if we get another midfielder in, you just never know. But again, we'll get onto that in a minute. How do I feel about this one? Listen, he's an Arsenal player now. He's been officially announced as an Arsenal player. It's kind of like you have no other option but to support him. He's an Arsenal player now. If you support Arsenal Football Club, you're gonna have to support the players that they bring in, whether you like it or not. You're an Arsenal fan first, and you just have to support the players as well. It's not the players' fault that the club are looking into them and the club wants to sign them. And if I was a football player and if Arsenal came knocking on the door, the likelihood in this current project, I'll probably want to sign on a dotted line as well. So I don't blame the players. At the end of the day, they thought Norgard was the right player to elevate us and to take us to the next level, or he was a good backup. However you want to see it, the fact of the matter is Norgard is officially now an Arsenal player. And I think we owe it to him as a fan, as fan bases, um, as fans within the club to actually support him going forward. And that's just my 2 cents on it as well. So yeah, welcome to the Arsenal, Martin Zubimendi and also Christian Norgard. Saying that, we've got another transfer news that obviously was announced the other day by the Arsenal, and now it comes within the coaching staff because as you guys know, Carlos Squeta, Quetta, however you want to pronounce it, Carlos Squeta, he obviously left. He's now the Parma, or yeah, Parma's manager in Italy, and apparently he's keen to bring in Fabio Vieira. That's another transfer news. I'll probably cover that on tomorrow's show. But in the coaching staff, we've added Gabriel Haynes joining the coaching team. He's going to be, I believe, Mikel Arteta's number 2. So obviously he's joined the great international player, obviously bringing a wealth of playing and coaching experience to the club. He was an ex-Manchester United player back in the day, Argentine guy, really good left back at the time in his own time. And obviously he joined Arsenal Football Club. There wasn't really much obviously said about him at the time, but as we all know, there were some pictures of Arsenal when they basically all returned from they all returned for pre-season, should I say. And yeah, um, Gabriel Hines was one of the guys that was pictured in within basically the team as well. Um, you know, I don't know. We needed, and I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad that basically we got this over the line because ultimately we needed to get this over the line, in my opinion, and we've got it over the line. And it's one of those things where it was important, especially for pre-season, in my opinion. And I think getting this over the line basically makes us a little bit more prepared for the season going forward. We can embed all the tactics, how we want to play within the squad quite early on, in my opinion, because it's quite important to make sure that you get all your tactics embedded. Because especially with the coaching staff, and this is the one of the reasons why I've always said and wanted a lot of all our players to have been signed quite early on. And yeah, but listen, we've got 3 players in now. So Kepa is there, Norgard is there, Zubimendi is there, and as I said, I'm sure they've all traveled to Italy. They've all traveled to Spain. So Arsenal are currently in Spain. There was a there was a video that obviously came out today showing them landing in Spain, and signing some autographs from some fans over there in Spain as well. So, and obviously a lot, and they're all hard at work. They're all hard at work already. You know, and I'm happy that we've got him over the line quite quickly, and at least in this coaching area, we didn't drag our feet. We didn't take time. We got it done, and yeah, basically, as you can see him there, basically he's hard at work already. Him and Mikel Arteta, and obviously, I'm sure they'll come up with some new tactics going forward for the Premier League and for the upcoming season. And I basically look forward to what they have in store, because when you look at the caliber of players that we've signed, especially with Zubimendi, in terms of transitional play, is quite good at long passes and feeding the ball early to attacking players. And the same can be said for Christian Nørgaard. When you watch clips of him playing for Brentford, for example, last season, he was one of the key players when it comes to assisting goals and feeding in the like of Wissa, the lack of Embuemo at the time, and other players in Brentford. Sorry. So hopefully there'll be the key or the difference when we're playing teams with low blocks, for example, because there was times last season when you look at it, for example, when the likes of Martinelli or Bukayo Saka, they're making runs in behind the high line, for example, or low block, and you have Jorginho so passive on the ball and not feeding it early enough, or not even feeding it at all. And it was so frustrating to watch. Obviously, whether you're watching it on TV or you're watching it live, you get a broader picture of the pitch. And I know when you're on the ball, sometimes you don't see everything, but surely you must have trained for this. The tactics suggest that once you get in the ball, ping it up, look up and ping it, because you know Saka's got pace, you know Trossard's got pace, you know Martinelli's got pace. So players like Zubimendi and Nørgaard will give us a different dimension when it comes to that aspect of our gameplay going forward. And I do hope it is something that we work on going forward, because what we struggled with a lot of the time last season was um playing teams with low blocks, playing teams obviously that will come out to play the likes of Manchester United. Right? I mean, Manchester United did play a bit of a low block, but the likes of Manchester City, that you know they'll probably go toe to toe with you, the likes of Liverpool, for example, or sometime even Spurs. But when you're playing teams like a West Ham, sometime a Nottingham Forest, we played Nottingham Forest last season, and they basically had five defenders, four midfielders, you know, and we basically, and then Espirito Santo came after in his news press conference and basically said, yeah, because we played that way because we knew they didn't have a striker, which then brings me on to the striker. So what exactly is going on with the striking position at the moment? Because earlier this week it was reported by Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein that Arsenal were in advanced talks when it came to Gyökeres, which I believe is the player that a lot of Arsenal fans wanted. I've been literally been singing his praises. I've been saying that's the player that I've wanted almost ever since. Whether because there was obviously suggestions, people were talking about, is it gonna be Sheshko? Is it gonna be Gyökeres? Who is it gonna be? But I'm kind of glad that Arsenal finally made a decision that is gonna be Gyökeres. Whether it was an Arteta decision, whether it was a Bertez decision, we just don't know. But what we do know is Arsenal are in advanced talks to sign Victor Gyökeres. However, there seems to be some form of a stalemate at the moment, and the stalemate is still over the payment structure or the fee between club to club. And I think that seems to be the issue at the moment. As you can see here on the Athletic, that obviously Arsenal are in advanced talk with Sporting over a deal to sign Victor Gyökeres. And move for the 27-year-old striker is not done, as discussions continue over the transfer fee, but the situation is progressing towards a conclusion. I read in another piece as well that, and I think another sticking point was the fee when it comes to, I think, the agent fee or the commission fee. I can't remember what fee it was, but it was something to do with the agent. It says here as well, the personal terms are in place on a proposed 5-year contract. The Swedish international having prioritized to switch to Arsenal for some time. He's literally made it clear from day one, I want to go to Arsenal. I don't want to go to Saudi. I don't want to even go to Manchester United. I just want to go simply to Arsenal. And he's made it clear from day one where he wanted to go. And this gives me a lot of confidence. But what doesn't give me a lot of confidence is the fact that Arsenal are dragging their feet. And I don't know what the structure of the deal that they're trying to put in place is. However, this doesn't, I mean, it seems just to be dragging. And I think what's kind of prompted this in terms of Arsenal making a decision over Gyökeres or Seshko is one, Leipzig are also dragging their feet when it comes to the transfer fee and the payment structure. And also, from what I've been hearing and reading and listening to various podcasts, is Arsenal, Arteta himself have basically said, I need a striker ASAP. Like preseason has now started. I need my striker. So what is going on? So it's either you get me my striker, because I need to be able to work with my striker with the new tactics or with a new playing style, how we're going to provide him with the balls and stuff like that. So I need him during this preseason, like early in the preseason, whilst we've got all these preseason games, to not only integrate him into the squad and into the to meet the players and get used to how Arsenal Football Club works and stuff, but also, get him used to how we play. Yes, Gyökeres was banging goals, like in Portugal, left, right, and center. But the fact of the matter is, the Premier League is a different ball game. It's a different ball game. The pace, the strength, the intensity. And don't get me wrong, Gyökeres strikes me as a player that's got strength, that's got pace, that's got some form of aggression. It's kind of like a Haaland in a way, but obviously a lot older than him. But he bangs in goals, and I know there's a lot of people that probably will say, "Oh, but he majority of his goals comes from penalties, and then if he does come to Arsenal, who's going to be taking penalties?" Listen, when we get there, we'll deal with that matter. Let's just get this man over the line first, because that's the first key. Get him over the line. Let him sign that shirt, sign that contract, put on the shirt, and then we know we have a striker, and then we move on to the next part of business. Because the question now is, if we now that we've signed Kepa, NØRGAARD, ZUBI, we're being linked with another player that a lot of Arsenal fans in the forward areas, because where we live, we're in advanced talks with Gyökeres, so cool. We know that there's a striker definitely coming in. When that time is, we just don't know as things stands. However, we want another attacking player, right? And we've been linked with this player, and as I said, he's not striking as exciting. He's not giving excitement within us. As when I say us Arsenal fans, and I'm sure you guys know the player that I'm talking about, and that player is Noni Madueke. Obviously, it was reported, I believe it was yesterday, that Arsenal have submitted an initial bid for Noni Madueke around £50 million package, including add-ons. Obviously, Chelsea have now stated that they want more, that they want £50 million fixed, similar to the Elanga to Newcastle deal. And obviously, Fabrizio goes on to say that Arsenal maintains a good relationship with Arsenal and good relationship club. Obviously, as talk continues, Madueke has already agreed on personal terms when it comes to Arsenal. I'm not surprised, and I'm not surprised that we're maintaining a good relationship when it comes to Arsenal. And when I said it didn't strike as exciting, this has caused chaos. And when I say chaos, this has caused chaos within the Arsenal fan base. I tell you this, to the point where it has actually sparked somebody to put in a petition online for Arsenal fans to sign. And there's been, the last time I checked, about over 2,000 signatures already. I'm not one of them, and I'm not going to be. On The Athletic, it was reported that Arsenal's potential, Meloni Madueke's potential Arsenal transfer, has sparked debate which team would benefit more. And obviously, he goes on to say, like, within the fan base, they split on Wednesday. Um, fans with Arsenal fans got the hashtag no to Madueke trending on social media. A petition was then launched on Thursday against his arrival at the Emirates Stadium. As the Athletic reported on Wednesday, the two clubs are now in talks with Arsenal and the winger agree in personal terms. Social media often lacks the nuance of reality, and there will be positives and negatives to Madueke's move from a perspective of both clubs. So the Athletic asked the Arsenal expert Art de Roche and Chelsea's expert Liam Talmy to have a conversation about this, mooted move. And obviously, you can go on to read the article. It says it there, and obviously they've basically looked at the pros and the cons in regards to the potential move of Madueke to Arsenal. Now, what is my 2 cents on this potential move? Like I said, I think the most sticking point for a lot of Arsenal fans is that it's not that we're not saying that Madueke is not a good player. I think ultimately what we are saying is he's not worth even 50 million, let alone 60 million, which is what Chelsea wants. Because I believe Chelsea just signed Gittins from Dortmund for less than 60 million. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the numbers I'm remembering is less than 60 million, but yet they want to sell Madueke for over 60 million. I just don't get it. And you're comparing him to Elanga. Elanga had a much better season than Madueke last season. His numbers and his output was tremendously above Madueke's last season. And now, obviously, they're now trying to compare it to Morgan Gibbs White, which they play not even similar positions. I mean, let's be honest, Morgan Gibbs White is quite flexible and quite rotational in the attacking line, but he already had a £60 million release clause in his contract. Madueke doesn't. And Chelsea are desperate to sell, in my opinion, because they got fined by UEFA, I believe it was, in regards to FFP not too long ago. They are still making signings, by the way. They just got João Pedro from Brighton, and also they just got Gittins from Dortmund. So they need to sell. So I just see they just trying to get the most out of Arsenal. And obviously where Arsenal have become Chelsea's dumping ground when it comes to the players that they don't want, Arsenal are just basically bending back over and just saying, yeah, we'll take all your crap. Where your recycling bin. And I think that's the sticking point. If they say, for example, this transfer was coming in and we're talking 30 to 35 million pounds, and I think that a lot of us probably won't be complaining. A lot of us will probably be like, okay, it's not who we wanted. It's not really getting us excited and out of our seats, but we understand it. It would be a great backup to Bukayo Saka, but a 50 million pound bench warmer. Please explain that to me, because that's basically what it is. And if he's not, then how does this influence, or what effect would this now have when it comes to, let's say, the potential of going for a Rodrigo, which we've been linked with many times? And obviously there's, speculations that Real Madrid are willing to let him go now that they're out of the Club World Cup. They're going to have a conversation next week about his future. And what Real Madrid are basically saying is, we're not saying you should go. We're not forcing you out the door. But if you want to leave, let a club meet our evaluation of you. And basically, then we can shake hands and, you can have a good, future ahead of you. But if we are getting Madueke for 50 to 60 million pounds, because they want 50 million pounds fixed plus add-ons. He's not even worth 45 or 40 million pounds. I'm sorry. And I think that's what is frustrating a lot of Arsenal fans in the fan base. And I'm in agreement. He does not even qualify to be regarded as a 40 million pounds player, let alone a 60 or above 50. And then the other question is, if we sign him for 50 million pounds or above, are we still going for Eze? Because we're definitely going for Gyökeres, but are we still going for Eze? Are we still potentially going to get another attacking left winger? So there's a lot of questions here. And if so, it's like, why are we not getting this over the line? And I know Madueke is still with Chelsea because they're qualified for the finals of the Club World Cup. So the likelihood is, because this is looking very likely as opposed to, it's a potential. It's looking very likely that this is going to be a move that will get done at some stage, probably next week. Because after the Club World Cup, there's a likelihood that we're going to get this deal done over the line. Excuse me. Get this deal done over the line. But then the problem is he still needs to go on a 2 to 3 weeks holiday because he hasn't had a holiday yet. So we'll probably won't see him till like the beginning of the season, close to the beginning of the season. So before he even integrates into the team, the season probably would have started. And then he still needs to get match fit. He still needs to get integrated to the club, the squad. So we're talking maybe mid-September by the time we actually properly see him or he gets up to match fitness again. And that's a £50 million player. And I know we're probably going to sign him for 5 years. And I get that. You might argue that, oh, but we've got enough time to see how he develops. But right now, and I think what's going to happen within this fan base, because this is such an important summer transfer window, very important. You know, they're getting key areas done. Kepa, cool, tick. Zubimendi, oh, fantastic signing. Don't get me wrong. I'm so happy. And I think, like I said at the beginning of the show, he hasn't got the attention that I believe that he deserved. And a lot of us have not been as excited or shown excitement because of the lack of activities in the market that has gotten us excited. And then when you're talking about people like Noni Madueke, he's even dampening our mood even more, which is then making us question, are we still going to go for Eze? Because let's be honest, we all want Eze. If you tell me right now, ask me to choose Eze or Noni Madueke, 100,000% of Arsenal fan base will say Eze. Ain't nobody on this world that's going to say, oh, get Noni Madueke over Eze. No one. Find me somebody that's going to do that. But Arsenal has. Cool. Are we still going for Eze? Are we still getting Gyökeres? Are we still going for Rodrigo? Because you get all of that done. Oh my God, you're selling. Listen, bring out all the merch that you want next season. I bet you every Arsenal fan will buy it, including me. Finish this window. Not with, well, Madueke, cool. But bring me Eze, bring me Gyökeres, and bring me your Rodrigo, and let's say Madueke, and Zubimendi, and NÖRGAARD, and oh my God. And then you've renewed contracts of, like, let's say Lewis Kelly's done already, Gabriel's done already, let's say Saliba, Odegaard, Saka, bruh, and Wanyeri. We're cooking. We are cooking. Ain't no one going to be complaining. That's when you're going to be able to show us fans that you are serious. You want to win the league. You want to challenge for the Champions League. You want to win trophies next season. But if we don't get all of that, this fan base is gonna there's gonna be a riot outside of the Emirates, if not a protest at that first game week. Unfortunately, the season starts before the transfer window closes. But I remember correctly, in September, is it Liverpool in September that we've got? And I know he's away at Anfield, but the next home game after that, oh my God. And if we don't get all those players over the line, there's going to be a protest. And I'm not going to be blaming the likes of Andrea Berta, Mikel Arteta. I'll be blaming the man them at the top, which is the Kroenkes, for not providing the funds or showing us the seriousness of wanting to win trophies at this club and giving us the tools. Give Mikel Arteta the tools to do the job properly. It's almost there. It's literally almost there. Coming third, coming second, 3 years in a row. It's not by accident. I don't care what anyone say. Second again, fine. But that is not by accident. It just means we just need a few more extra ingredients to get us over the line. And that's the reason why a lot of players wants to come to Arsenal, because they can see the trajectory, the upward trajectory of Arsenal Football Club and where we are going and what we want to achieve. And they want to be part of that. You're telling me you put in a bid for Eze today and he won't accept it? Or let's say Crystal Palace. Because now the problem is with Crystal Palace as well is they might get into a predicament, or they're already in a predicament, should I say, or they'll get to a stage where they'll have no choice but to sell Eze. Because there's a likelihood that they might not even be allowed to play in the Europa League next season because of Lyon. Because Lyon obviously appealed the decision to get relegated from Ligue 1, and that's been upheld. So they are currently going to be in Ligue 1. So now UEFA has got a decision to make in regards to Lyon or Palace, because obviously of the ownership of, motor club ownership, that kind of rule. So there's a likelihood that Crystal Palace might actually not be in the Europa League next season or even in Europe at all. And I'm sure Eze will want to play in Europe, which then maybe potentially might give us the upper hand. That is the only thing that I can think of. Maybe Arsenal are waiting, because everyone's like, why are we bidding for Noni Madueke, but we haven't even bidded for Eze? So I'm thinking maybe Arsenal are waiting because of all the fees and stuff. But Eze has a release clause, right? Maybe they might be thinking to themselves, we can maybe negotiate that if they don't make um if they're not allowed to play in the Europa League. That's the only thing I can think of. But it'd be very interesting to see if Arsenal are actually gonna go ahead and actually make a bid, not only for Eze, but for also for Gyökeres. Because for me, if we are gonna get a player like a Rodrigo, I can't see us getting him. I can see it becoming like a transfer deadline day deal. I can't see it happening any sooner than that. Personally, I can't see it happening any sooner than that. I just think like with Rodri, it's gonna be there's gonna be a battle for him, because I think Liverpool apparently are also in contention of getting or or bidding for Rodrigo, because it's been widely reported that Bayern Munich want to sign Diaz from Liverpool, which then means Liverpool need to replace him. They have money; they're gonna probably be selling Elliot, which they'll probably get 30 to 40 million pounds for. I don't know how, but I can envision. And this is the thing: other clubs seems to be able to sell well, and we don't. But they're going to be able to get for Elliot 30 to 40 mil, if not even more. They already got 35 mil plus add-ons for Quensa. That's money in the bag already. Elliot, he'll be going. If Diaz goes, they will have money for Rodrigo, because Rodrigo apparently can go for anything between 70 to 80 million pounds. And I believe Liverpool will have the money to spend that. So we're not probably going to be the only club going for Rodrigo. And even if we aren't, I just hope that this club will potentially maybe have a good, decent backup. Otherwise, it's going to have to be Madueke. But then, who's going out? Because you get a Rodrigo in or Noni Madueke, which then means potentially Martinelli or Trossard, one of them is going to have to go. I read just not too long ago before coming on live that apparently Fenerbahce has, or should I say, Trossard has agreed personal terms with Fenerbahce. How true that is, I couldn't tell you right now, but it's one of those rumors that are out there on social media, not by the reputable journalists, because they haven't put anything out in regards to that. But you know how somebody have probably got, I don't know, got a sniff of this and thought they put it out there, just put the fillers out there as they usually do. But I still think either Martinelli or Trossard, one of them is going to go. Up to me, it's going to have to be Trossard. It cannot be Martinelli. As much as I criticized him last season for the lack of productivity last season, the lack of um, finishing and end product, it was just lackluster last season. I just feel like he's got so much more potential. But last season he didn't show it. But let's see how it goes. Let's just see how it goes, because yeah, there is a lot to do. There's a lot to do in this summer transfer window. Let me know in the comments as well what you guys think in regards to Arsenal's transfers so far. How do you think that Arsenal are doing so far? What do you think that we still have left to do? What would you like us to do? There's so many different questions to answer right now. So many different questions and not enough answers. And I just find it ironically weird how, in a matter of 2 days, Spurs have managed to agree not only personal terms but agreed fees with West Ham for Kudus. They've triggered Morgan Gibbs White's release clause in 2 days. They're both going to be having a medical this week, but Arsenal are still fluffing about with Gyökeres and Eze and potentially Rodrigo. That's where we're at, guys. That is where we are at. Yeah. Anyways, let's see how we get on. And as per usual, listen, guys, I will be bringing out my transfer video tomorrow called the Gooner Press. So make sure you obviously get in touch with that, watch those videos, basically talking about all some of the transfer links, basically just purely talking transfers in regards to that. And yeah, I want to hear from you guys. Thank you for watching. I can see in there. Thank you for everyone that's tuning in as per usual. And if you're new around here, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It goes a long way in helping me out. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please hit it. It goes a long way in helping me out doing more videos like this, and I will try to be as more consistent as possible. Yeah, put your questions in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys as per usual. And yeah, that will basically be me for tonight. Hopefully we'll have some more good news tomorrow when it comes to Arsenal. Any breaking news, obviously I'll be right here bringing it for you guys, so don't forget to put your notification bell on just as well. And yeah, up until tomorrow or the next video, I'll see you next time. Have a good one, Gooners.